So here at CES, it's become a bit of a tradition now to meet up with Alex from E4 Electric. Hi Alex, how you doing?
How are you?
Yeah,
Hey,
good
what's
time.
going on?
Long time no see. Happy New Year.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, it's
what
been a crazy
year it's been.
So 2018 was the year in which everyone brought out all of their new electric cars, or at least announced them.
Show off Photoshop skills that they have also.
Right, but it was the year of long-range, affordable EVs coming to market, or at least being promised. Obviously, Tesla Model 3 broke loads of records. We saw the Hyundai Kona. We saw, at the end of the year, the Kia e-Niro come out. There was talk about the Nissan Leaf, and of course, yesterday, here at CES 2019, we had the launch of the 2019 Nissan Leaf E+. But other than that, there's not been a huge amount going on here at CES this year in terms of electric vehicles, right?
Yeah. So I think most of the announcements were made at LA Auto Show about a month ago. But I think this is like you said, last year was the year of exciting unveilings and promises. But I think this year is going to be the year of execution, right? This is where they have to go back to their studios, back to their factories, build stuff and deliver stuff. And I think most of them realize that. So that's why all of the news that we're kind of hearing in this CES, mainly about, in-car experiences, the UX and so forth, because they're back home, back at their factories that are actually working on finally bringing all these cars that you just mentioned and a few more.
I think also there's a challenge because car companies tend to move in cycles. Automotive cycles are much longer than tech cycles. And so there is kind of a juxtaposition here between the automotive design and production cycle versus what everyone else in all these other halls are doing, which is very short bursts of development. I mean,
well, this is primarily a tech show.
It is primarily a tech show.
You mean it takes longer to make a car than a self-flushing toilet with Alexa attached to it?
Absolutely.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Really.
And all of the other crazy things that we heard, emails,
yes.
some of which are not for family-friendly YouTube viewing.
Right. But no, I mean, listen, we can only live on excitement so long, right? We need to start seeing these cars on the road, especially affordable electric cars. And you mentioned, Kona and Niro, I'm rooting for them big time, right?
Yeah.
And they gotta, and also I'd like to see the actual demand. They're still trying to sell more lean ZEV states and so forth. I want to see the demand. I want to see the message from customers, from consumers saying, no, we want that. Bring it, right? But there's also competitors to Tesla coming out this year, right? A e-tron, EQC, Taycan, and so forth. So everyone's going to compete this year. I'm excited for everybody.
It's really interesting for you, Kate, because you're in the market for an EV this year.
I am in the market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
what are your top three?
Top three are probably the Hyundai Kona EV and the really, it's top two, and the e-Niro. Those are the two cars that best meet my needs. Getting them...
Nissan Leaf, long range? No?
No.
What's your beef with them?
I'm not that keen on the battery pack and the cooling.
Yeah.
And I'm also still really hesitant about the rapid gate thing because I do long journeys, and doing long journeys and needing multiple rapid charges, that's still up in the air.
I'm with you.
And we did try and clarify that. I'm sure you did too, Alex. Over the course of the show, we asked Nissan a couple of times, is rapid gate solved? There does appear to be a software update, but Nissan hasn't yet issued an official statement.
Well, I'm more pissed off at them because, I'm rooting for any brand and technology that's all electric, right? I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I kind of have a favorite, but still, I'm rooting for everybody. One thing everybody asked them for almost 10 years to fix was the lack of active cooling. And they did everything right. They got the better looking car, they got the longer range, they got LG, everything except for one thing that everybody asked, and I think it's just so I'm upset about it. I'm going to see my therapist tomorrow, but right now I'm really upset about it.
I mean, I'm going to hold judgment until the press drive as to whether this battery is as good as Nissan says it is, because Nissan says, yesterday they were saying there are new cell welding techniques, there's more space in the battery while also more cells in the battery. More space means more air, so maybe it will be okay. And other people have said, if you properly engineer an air-cooled battery pack, it is possible. theoretically, it's possible to make it happen. The question is whether Nissan has made it happen or not. That's something we don't know,
also
right?
the question is, well, so Tesla, Rivian, Byton, BMW, and everybody else are that stupid that they couldn't figure that out? Because obviously nobody wants to put an active thermal management system just for, you know, for fun, right? And if out of all the manufacturers, if there's one who's had problems with that, is Nissan. So first of all, don't really trust them right now. Secondly, I also kind of trust that all of these other, you know, manufacturers that have their own research teams and so forth, kind of figured they're all on the same page, right? Active thermal management system, and there are different ways. Like Rivian is doing it with plates, and you know, others doing it. I mean, they've all figured it out and said this is the right way to do it. Nissan still has to live on Earth. And on Earth right now, the batteries need to be cooled. You know, and you can't just do it with a little bit.
And we won't know. Like if you buy the car now, you won't know for a couple of years whether the management system they put in place is working.
Right.
It is conceivable though. I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not saying that I believe this to be true, but I feel like I need to be devil's advocate here. There is a potential that the 40 kilowatt hour Leaf battery pack had either a sensor problem, which caused it to read battery temperatures that were too high. Let's not forget, every car that's pretty much come to market has had either a battery management error, the Bolt was recalled and had new software installed. We've seen it with the Fiat 500e with the drivetrain system issues with that. Electric cars are very complex mechanical and electrical systems, maybe easy mechanical but complex electrical. And it's very easy for one bit to not be in the right place in the code and for that to make a big difference. I mean, you've worked in IT for many years, you know that's possible, right?
No. I think that the real answer is kind of in the middle of what you guys said, right? First of all, we won't know until a while. So to me, if you want to lease a Nissan Leaf for 3 years, awesome deal, right?
Absolutely.
And then we will see. Maybe you're right. Maybe that the best engineers who figured out how to do it better than Tesla and BMW and everybody else. and that's how they will rise to the top.
But is it really being better than everyone else, or is it being able, because this is something else that we need to be careful of in the industry that we are in, which is we're also obsessed on range and performance, that we forget the really important thing for 99% of buyers, cost and longevity. So I mean, if Nissan made this 2018 Leaf battery pack with a really, really pessimistic battery management system that was super cautious about everything, maybe Nissan has now just decided to dial that caution back. Because we haven't yet seen, I haven't heard of any reports of 2018 Leafs with noticeable battery degradation yet. And if there really was a problem with Rapidgate that caused the batteries to be damaged, wouldn't we be seeing the same problems that we saw with the first generation Leaf in Arizona? That's the thought in the back of my head.
Well, yes, but I think there are two different parts, right? How long can the battery last with just a regular use over the few years, without, right? And the second one is the Rapidgate, right? Where how fast can we charge over and over and over again? That one, you're right. We'll find out relatively soon, and it does. Well, we'll see. This is LG Chem, right? New supplier. But with the other part, we will know after 3 or 4 years. But combining with what you said, you're right. I mean, I just did a video with what are the most affordable EVs if you buy them new yet. And I basically was a tie between Nissan Leaf and the Renault Zoe in Europe, right?
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. This is the most affordable, best bang for your buck car out there, especially if you want to lease it. For
only if you have the S.
What do you mean?
The Nissan Leaf S is great value.
Yeah.
The SV and the SL, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I totally agree that Nissan's battery management, by the way, is crap. Because I've got a 2013 Leaf with massive battery degradation. So, but you're right. Carry on. Sorry.
No, I'm agreeing and saying you're right as well, because you know people need to still. People can't pay $100,000 for Teslas, right?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody, we most of us live in especially me now, living in a real world, right?
Yeah, you've given up your real job and become poor like us.
Right, exactly, yeah. I only have like 3 more months left on my Tesla, and after that, back to my Volt, right? But but so yes, you know, for the you get what you pay for, right? So if you get a battery that will start degrading after 3 or 4 years, but you pay only, you know, after incentives, you can get it really for $20,000. Well, that is a pretty good deal. I'm in. but we're also techies, right? We want to talk about tech.
Yeah.
I think it's technically this is a bad, and PR wise, this is a bad decision because I think they can't do it. It's a Nissan. They have plenty. You know what I mean? I've heard they're saving money on the salary for one of their top executives recently. So they definitely have a budget. Is what I'm saying. So I think we're on the same page.
Interestingly, the Nissan staff that I've talked to have all been very kind of quietly acknowledging what's going on back in Japan and how strange it is. And obviously that's something for another day when we're not at CES. But aside from Nissan and some of the other vehicles, the EQC is here, which is great. BMW did a virtual reality experience as to what life might be like if you were driving the Vision iNext or whatever the production version of the BMW would be. I would suspect maybe like an iX5 or an iX7 maybe, what it might be like having that vehicle drive autonomously for you. And we've had a lot of kickback about all of the autonomous vehicle tech that's been happening at the show this year. I mean, we've enjoyed it, right?
We have. I mean, but we're both very nerdy, very geeky people, and looking at not the immediate future, but the slightly distant future of where this technology is likely to go, and trying to predict what that's going to do to our lives. That's really interesting to us, because that is evolving transport.
Right. So have you had that experience too? The people don't want to know about autonomous cars.
Well, I think people are scared of the autonomous. I mean, I think everybody who talked to me are our Uber drivers. They're like, oh, we're really scared of these cars. They just murdered a robot, right? Great publicity stunt, by the way, right?
It's about Tesla, yeah.
But at the same time, listen, this is where we're all going, and essentially the concept. I like the concept, right? Because when I get to my car, I'm sure you can relate. Like, we're running a business essentially. Like, when I get to my car, I actually don't even listen to music anymore. I try to make phone calls. I do have an autopilot in Tesla, and I do trust it on freeway, so I might actually check my email and so forth. So I'm trying to continue living my life, essentially taking my living room, my office into the car, right? That's where they're trying to meet us, right? Saying like, listen, this is essentially going to be extension of your office, essentially extension of your living room. I like that because I think we're busy. A lot of us are busy, and we would love to continuously live. Now Alexa Auto is here, right, as well. So that will help with the experience. So I'm excited about it. I think we're not as close as some people would either believe or would like to believe. But it's definitely going there, and I really like that.
Well, Kate, it was illustrated this week by Tesla because Tesla said, or Elon Musk, Tesla, kind of the same thing these days, said, don't hold your breath for the upgrade to autonomous driving, fully autonomous driving. It's not coming anytime soon, and the excuse was regulatory, right?
But I think a lot of the excuses are excuses. The technology isn't there yet, but a lot of people are going to say it's regulatory because they want the regulatory environment to be favorable when they are ready. They don't want to be fighting those battles at the point when they've got the tech ready. They want to be able to roll it out to their customers and go, it's here, it's done, it's finished.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because designing something by committee is always a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right? If we had a meeting about how we were going to design a box from scratch, and there were 50 people in the room, everyone would have a different idea about how you were going to build that box, right?
Right.
And even if they were the best designers on the planet, they'd all have different ideas about how the box should look, how the box should be made, what materials, etc., etc. And we're kind of like that with autonomous vehicles right now and autonomous vehicle tech. Whereas the regulatory side of things gives you a framework with which you can then work. It's like in the software world, having a use case or a user story or even just a spec sheet. We want to make a this that does that for this. And I think that's not what we've got yet with autonomous vehicle technology. We're getting there. And I think a lot of the parts suppliers that we've seen and talked to this year at CES are getting ready for that. And they're in a much better place to get the regulatory favorable conditions set up because they're parts one suppliers, they have big clout, and they have big name customers. it also makes it easier for them from a lobbying point of view, I think. And maybe you're right. I think that's how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
But also don't forget, regulators, they don't always trying to stop the progress, right, and the process. But at the same time, they need to evaluate how safe this software and this technology is, right? They wouldn't be slowing us down if our stuff would be working. But our stuff is not working. I mean, I'm a Tesla owner, and I'm telling you, one of the things that I regret getting is the autopilot, right? As a matter of fact, it regressed until it just started to catch up to what it used to be. Number one, right? So just talking about Tesla, Uber had a little accident, I've heard, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to laugh about it, but it's it's a problem. So very few of them are ready. We don't even know which one. I mean, it looks like Waymo is the leader right now, but maybe it's just because they happen not to hit anybody just yet, right?
Well, all of the problems that have existed with autonomous vehicles have not been with the vehicles themselves. They've been with the bags of mostly water behind the steering wheel.
Well, no, some of the cases of the autopilot with Tesla, they have been real, right? And the Uber accident has been real. And there's a reason why they actually had to close that program. Because
well, yeah, but I mean, the reason that the Uber accident happened, that terrible fatality last year, was not because the autonomous car failed. It was because the human supervising the autonomous car failed, because the car wasn't engineered to the point that it could do level 5 autonomy, and it wasn't being treated as level 5 autonomy, but the person behind the steering wheel was treating it as level 5 autonomy. So that it's essentially a PEBCAC problem at the moment. The problem exists between keyboard and computer.
Well, I mean, to me, and I think I did a lot of videos about it, and I tried to understand what happened with that particular accident, that was actually a very simple situation. And I know it was dark, but it's only bad for us. Darkness is not a big deal for radars and LiDARs, right? And I believe that car had both. So that should have never ever happened. That was a failure of technology. Yes, the reason person died is because it was also a failure of a human.
But, yeah, I hear where you're coming from with that. But the other thing that's worth noting is that the Volvo technology on the vehicle detected the person.
Yeah.
Right. But it was disabled.
Well, if you look at the history of that program, the management for it is really very concerning and actually very damaging to autonomous vehicles in general, because it was extremely lax.
Are we agreeing that we're not there yet with the technology?
Oh, yeah, we are.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm really trying to say. And the regulators are only going to go as they will be one step behind everybody, as they should be, but they're still going to be right behind us with our technology. And technology, including the one from Tesla, is just not there.
No,
yet,
it's not.
You know?
And I think the reason why people don't want to know about this technology is because they see it as expensive. They want to have control in their vehicle. It's worth talking about the Toyota Guardian system that we saw this week, because that's focusing on not taking away driving, instead working with the driver to ensure that you stay safe, which is more of an active safety system. And I think we're going to see more of those than we are other things. I mean, Nissan yesterday said 60-something% of all cars that it's now selling in the United States have ProPilot.
I'm not sure. By the way, let me just give kudos to Toyota, and I hope you're recording this, because
Yeah.
I rarely do that.
Yeah.
But what a great name, Guardian. I wish autopilot was called Guardian. I think one of the biggest problems, and some of the accidents, is the result of nothing but the word, right?
It's branding.
Autopilot. And you can tell me all along, all this time, that actually what autopilot in planes means that you should. What the perception is that you do this, right?
If you ask most of the people down here, unless they're an engineer,
right,
and they were really into it, they wouldn't.
But no. Guardian, I would say, when I heard it, and actually I heard it by watching your video, and I was like, oh, that must be a perfect name for the autopilot of Tesla.
It is.
And interestingly, Toyota said we want everyone to use this.
Oh,
and there's been some other technology, Continental's doing the vehicle to smart street infrastructure technology. Rather than going, oh, everyone's going to be driving a smart car, they're being realistic, not pie in the sky. And I think that's a very big differentiation in this show between the companies that are being very pragmatic and realistic about it, and the companies that are going, oh, look, this is the vision of the future where you might have a car with augmented reality. Nissan.
Is that how they talk when they write the press release?
Yeah,
I like that.
pretty much.
I'm going to always think about that when I read a press release.
get really excited,
I
as
like
opposed
that.
to BMW, which BMW writes all of its press releases with thesauruses on hand.
Right.
They're
Probably
really long.
true.
Yeah.
Probably
All the
true.
superlatives they can possibly cram in
Yeah.
a 15-page press release to tell you that they've launched a new car. So let's finish with one other thing that we found earlier on today, which was the Sigma cells.
Oh yeah. So they have you seen the Sigma cells actually? Before I tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yes,
See, wait. Did I not do my homework before
No,
this?
no, but
Okay,
they're
do
hiding.
tell.
They're hiding
Do
far
tell.
away.
They're
in different
research at
halls.
the moment. It's
Yeah.
research.
So they have a new kind of cell. Well, it's the same kind of cell, but it has the battery management system, the charging system, all integrated and on each cell, so they can switch cells in and out of pack as they need to, allowing you to keep the pack capacity as high as possible rather than just relying on the weakest cell being your limit.
And it also has an inverter in it as well.
It does, yeah.
On each cell, no?
And because it's on each cell and the cells operate at like 1.3 or 3 volts or whatever it is, they don't need high power transistors. So it stays super cool.
Yeah.
Very low cost electronic components, because these big powerful MOSFETs are really expensive. So they've got little tiny ones. They each are responsible for a small amount of current, and you combine that together to form a really smart integrated battery pack that can change its voltage according to whatever you need, and also charge from pretty much any AC power source that you happen to have.
And can have different chemistries in the pack. You can have different, so you can have chemistries that are suited to cold weather. You can have that same pack contain whatever you need for the environment that you're in. You're not limited by what you have.
That's been one of my highlights of the show so
Interesting.
far. But what about you? What's been your highlight of the show?
I have to say that just coming from an LA Auto Show, there hasn't been wow kind of moments.
It's funny you should say that, because I didn't have that at LA. LA was really frustrating for me.
Really?
Other than Rivian.
Well, okay, but Rivian, right? So that was pretty cool. e-tron GT to me was a huge, you know. I mean, that's anytime a legacy automaker unveils a second electric car, and now we know they're going to be in a Super Bowl commercial, I go like, oh, you might be serious. So I like that. And there were a few other things. I mean, even Kia Soul EV with a real range, where they didn't do too much to their, you know, funky body that so many people like, and still, you know, gave them a good tech. Those were great, and I thought there were a few other things. But here, but to me, a highlight is what I mentioned in the beginning. I think they're all busy making cars for us.
Yeah.
I think that's a highlight.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's a highlight. I mean, this was my first time being in an EQC, because I missed, unfortunately, the
I'm so
premiere.
jealous. You're getting in all the cars. I don't get in any of the cars anymore.
Come with me. Come with me. There's more space. But so I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did, especially on the inside. And I actually like it a little bit more on the outside than the e-tron, which I'm actually going to be getting. It looks like after my Tesla. So I'm excited that they're working on, you know, Byton's factory is almost done. I was just there in Nanjing in June, and we were literally digging in dirt. They just had one building where they were building prototypes. Now they just showed us an aerial view, almost complete.
Yeah.
They're going to start selling those cars in China at the end of this year, and in the next year is going to be US. Like, these are the cars that we all, I think, were asking for, and on all different levels, from 20, 30,000 all the way, and we can talk about Taycan as well, but all the way to 90,000, right?
You see, I want to see more low-end cars.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's much like with an iPhone. There had to be a $600 iPhone, which at that time was a ridiculous price, for us to have free phones, right? So let Taycan and Tesla, Model S and others lead the way, because that has to trickle down. You know, there would be no Kia Niro EV or Hyundai Kona that you will be buying, hopefully, right? If it wasn't for $100,000 Tesla, right? Just like, I mean, somebody was just showing me this low budget LG phone was like $30. That literally is better than the original iPhone, but somebody had to buy it. So I hear you, yeah, of course. I mean, obviously most of our viewers who can buy $100,000 cars, but I always want to see what's ahead. And what's ahead, unfortunately, is what's in Tesla and Porsche and Mercedes and so forth. you know.
Well,
So I'm excited.
I'll be more hopeful of stuff. I'll be more hopeful of budget cars than that. But...
I thought it was being hopeful already. No.
Did you try out Impossible Burger, by the way, before you left?
I saw it. Unfortunately, I'm gluten free. So
the Impossible Burger 2 is gluten free.
Really?
It's the reason they launched it, Alex. You need to go
how
over
did
the
I
whole
admit? I actually watched your video about it, but
it's wheat free.
Wow, I did not know. I will try. But is that? I mean, I'm watching my figure. Is that gonna screw up my diet?
19 grams of protein.
Wow, that's not bad actually.
Yeah. Really low fat.
Yeah.
I mean, much better than a regular burger.
This video better be sponsored by them because I think that's the most exciting three of us have been about anything in this video, right? All right.
So thanks for joining us. Tell everyone where you can go watch your show.
It's called E4Electric. YouTube.com/E4Electric. Basically daily electric car news because there's so many of them.
Yep.
And they're so exciting. Sometimes I review cars. You know, like EQC or e-tron GT. But other than that, I feel like we're two sister channels.
Oh yeah. Oh, we are.
So, yeah.
Well, in fact, if you go to the YouTube when you're watching our channel, it will show related channels. Yours comes up.
Yeah.
As does Robert's.
Yeah.
Robert Llewellyn, fully charged. And you're right. You cover the news a little bit more than we do. We do the news roundup show on a weekend, on a Saturday. But then in the week, we tend to do themed videos, which you tend to do more news-based videos. So.
Yeah, I don't think we're the same channels. I think a lot of people quite know watch my channel, watch yours as well, including myself. I watch your channel.
Watch yours as well. So.
Well, because I mean it's a perspective, right?
Yeah.
If anything, you get like whenever I watch channels on different topics, I never watch the same channel over and over. I want perspective. I want different opinions. And just like I said, before I make my videos, I always like to know opinions of others. I mean, I even watch Tesla fanboy channels because I do want to know what they're thinking. Because sometimes they're right as well, right? There's another point of view. So I look at us more like a sister channel because to be honest, besides us, who else is doing this?
Well, we keep hanging out at CES, so we're gonna have to make this a thing next year.
Yeah.
CES 2020 in a studio. Thanks very much, Alex.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to both the channels. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you want to support us, you know where to go. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicky Gordon-Bloomfield.
I'm Kate Walton-Elliott.
Alex Guberman.
And we'll see you soon. Keep evolving.